I'll give you a brief update on the wildfire situation today. As Colin mentioned, at the moment there are 108 wildfires burning in Alberta. 31 of those are out of control. And in the last 24 hours, we noted 16 new wildfire starts. The total area of the province burned this year has now passed 375,000 hectares. Today, we've seen some light scattered showers in the southern part of the province, as far north as Fox Creek. The good news is that it did have an impact on fire behavior today in that area. It allowed firefighters to get a chance to work on the areas of some wildfires that they haven't been able to get close to because of extreme wildfire behavior. We're expecting this trend to continue over the next couple of days with cooler temperatures and higher humidity, helping firefighters who are working in the south and central part of the province. Unfortunately, in the north of the province, they will continue to be challenged with the conditions that they're seeing. Our priorities today have been and always are wildfires that are threatening communities or human lives. And we're prioritizing a number of fires. I'll just list a few, but there are significant number of communities affected. We're prioritizing the wildfire near Edson, EWF 031, the Grizzly Complex that Colin mentioned, threatening East Prairie Métis settlement, the Deep Creek Complex around Evansburg and Twistle, Wildwood and Hansonville, and the Pasca wildfire at Fox Lake. I'm pleased to say firefighters arrived yesterday from Quebec and Ontario, and they're being sent across the province to help us with our priority wildfires. An incident management team is arriving today from British Columbia, and they will be taking over the wildfire near Edson and the Pembina complex in northern Rocky Mountain House area. We have requests in with our partners at the Canadian Interagency Forest Fire Centre, as well as partners in the United States, for more help, which we're hoping will arrive in the week ahead. So to recap today, conditions have given firefighters an opportunity to fight some of the wildfires that have been challenging because of extreme wildfire behavior. We're focusing our efforts on wildfires threatening communities. We have resources arriving daily and more on the way, and we're all working hard to keep Albertans and our community safe.
Thank you, Christy. I'll now move to Q&A portion. We'll start here in the room. If there's any reporters that have questions here in the room, please use the microphone. Please identify your name and outlet, and one question, one follow-up.
Hi there, Janet French from the CBC. We've heard a lot, and you briefly addressed this, I think this is probably for Mr. Blair, from evacuees who are saying that they're really having trouble getting information, accurate information, enough information about evacuation alerts and orders, about how long that they could potentially be displaced from their communities, and like you said, about the impacts in the communities where they live. So what are some of the, what's stopping the conveyance of answering some of these questions, getting this information to evacuees?
Well, thanks for the question, Janet. I think the first thing is I would urge that evacuees do get in touch with the evacuation center that they've been asked to go to. We do have about 5,000 folks that have gone through evacuation centers, so that's about 20% of evacuees have actually gone to a reception center. So it's important for them to go in and register and put forward their questions. I would say, given the magnitude of this event and the fact that it's unprecedented, we're still in early days, and a significant part of this is going to be the actual wildfire situation that's going to dictate any future steps for any of the municipalities. So the province does want to make sure that we're supporting the municipalities, and I do hear you on your comments, and we will circle back on some of the specific questions that we're getting to try and support the municipalities with that information. I hope today's presentation helps out with some of that information.
I also wanted to ask about some of the alerts and notifications that have been coming out over the past few days there seems to be some inconsistencies there. You know, they'll show up on one device and not at the other. The evacuation information will be on the web page, but not the apps, or in the app, but not the web page. Can you explain why some of this is happening and what work, if any, is taking place to try and make these notifications more consistent?
That's a great question, Janet. And I don't have a specific response to you. We'll take it back to our team. I know that we are supported with a national system, so we are working through some of that bugs. And I think it's critical for us to make sure that the information is consistent. So we'll follow up on that. Thank you.
Hi, Kendra Slugosky with Global News in Edmonton. You did speak to some of the structures that have been lost. I know there are some challenges seeing some of the destruction that is out there, but can you again just tell us what you know so far, how many you have counted so far, what area seems to be hardest hit, and the area you are most concerned about right now? Because we are hearing from people in rural parts around Wildwood and so on that say they are staying on their properties trying to protect what they have. Very good question. I think if I had to go through everything again, because we have so many communities that are impacted, it would take me a bit of time to provide you with a consolidated report on that. The conditions right now in many of these communities are actually preventing us from getting accurate numbers. And I think as time goes on, we're going to be able to get back into these communities, working closely with the municipalities to get a better picture of this. So I would just conclude with, our focus right now collectively as a province is to make sure that we've got life safety taken care of, and of course supporting municipalities and the collective response community in trying to get control of the situation. And I just wanted to follow up with highway closures, also hearing from people who are trying to leave but facing roadblocks. And can you speak to that? Are people essentially being trapped on one road to be turned around to another? What are you hearing from people who are running into the actual roadblocks? So I would urge Albertans to have a look at 511. Transportation does have an app. It is up to date. It provides the status of the road networks in the province. So I would urge you to get that app and have a look at it. If you are making plans on traveling anywhere in the impacted areas, there are a number of road closures, and that app is up to date.
Thank you. We'll go to the phones next. Operator, can you put through the first question?
Jessica Robb, CTV. Hi there, thanks for taking my question. I was speaking with someone up in Little Red River Cremation not long ago, and they told me that they heard from the province that 44 structures have been destroyed. I'm just wondering if you have that number with you and if it is 44.
Hi, Jessica. No, I do not have that number. I would have to verify that. And I would just suggest, given the fluidity of the situation, and the fact that a number of these fires are not under control, that it would be a bit premature, and we would likely have to, I will call it, date timestamp any number that we would put forward on the status of structures.
Do you have a follow-up, Jessica?
I do, yeah, and I'm just wondering for an update in the size of that fire up in Fox Lake, and if it is still considered to be out of control.
Jessica, it was Fox Lake you were wondering on?
Yeah.
That's the Pasqua fire. The size is currently updated at 16,390 hectares. Unfortunately, that fire is still classified as out of control.
Thank you. Operator, can you put through the next caller, please?
Alex McQuaid, question producer.
My call. I understand your agency's priority is human lives right now, but I'm just wondering, as part of dealing with an emergency this size and over this area, is it within your planning to deal with evacuating livestock, or is that solely a municipality jurisdiction issue?
So the way the system works is that we look to municipalities to manage the events within their boundaries. Given the fact that we're now at a provincial state of emergency, we do have representatives from irrigation and agriculture in our Provincial Emergency Coordination Center. I do not have a specific response to your question, but we do know that the management and handling of livestock in this situation is important, and I think I will follow up with them. As I said, I don't have a specific answer to that right now.
Alex, do you have a follow-up?
Yeah, and do you have any specific messages for obviously for ranchers or anyone dealing with livestock? I mean, obviously the kind of 30 minutes, moving livestock is logistically challenging at the best of times. In an emergency, it can be obviously even harder. I mean, is there any advice for livestock producers?
Yeah, so I think the advice that I would give the producers is to make sure that that the municipality is aware of their situation. I think it's important for them to provide that information to, if they have been evacuated, to an evacuation center, so that we can get a better idea of what's going on. I know that the irrigation and agriculture folks are connected with the association, so there is another avenue there to provide that situational awareness.
Thanks, Colin. Operator, can you put through the next caller, please?
Carrie T, Globe and Mail.
Hi, thanks for taking my question. I'm wondering if someone can talk about the difference between this current fire cycle with fires everywhere versus when you're fighting fires where you have one or two big ones on the go at a time, like Fort McMurray or Slave Lake.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a certain set of skills that we put into place fighting fire in any season, and of course our firefighters and teams are prepared for that every year. Some years you do get an extraordinary year. We saw that in 2016 when Fort McMurray and the Horse River wildfire was threatening the city. And we've seen it again, but of a different flavor. People have called this season certainly unprecedented in recent memory when we have so many fires so spread out. And it's because we've seen unprecedented conditions this spring. People remember how unseasonably warm it has been in the last week or so leading up to this series of wildfire events. So it's been an unusual year. We approach it as we always do, with our priorities intact. Number one, always being communities and human life, and making sure that we call in the additional resources that we need as soon as we've assessed the severity of the situation, and fight a number of rapidly changing wildfires across the province.
Do you have a follow-up, Carrie?
Yes, thank you. I'm wondering if you can give us an idea of what the province intends to request from the federal government. What do you need?
As far as firefighting resources?
Emergency assistance of whatever would be your shopping list.
Well, we work actually through the Canadian Interagency Forest Fire Centre, which is an agency of fellow firefighting agencies across the country. So we make our requests not through the federal government, but through what we call CIFC, and we let them know as soon as we've assessed our need, and they will reach out to the individual agencies. So I know there are hundreds of firefighters requested at the moment, and I know that they are working on it. We're also working with colleagues in the United States through the Northwest Compact, and firefighters available and hopefully coming to help us soon from fellow states such as Montana and areas that we have gone to help in the past. But we really rely on these direct relationships that we have with our mutual aid agencies. We help each other out when we've got a time in need. So it's an ever-changing situation, and we have experts on the ground assessing what our needs are at all times, and it changes moment to moment, and we are in constant contact with the people who can help us gather those resources.
Thanks, Christy. Operator, can you put through the next caller, please?
Jeremy Thompson, CTV Edmonton. Leaders with the AUPE about concerns they have about sort of the shortage of Alberta firefighters, especially a shortage of experienced Alberta firefighters, and leading to sort of greater workload and more stress for those folks who are out there right now fighting these fires. You can say that for some reason this year the training for these new recruits is sort of aimed to time out so that they are ready to go like a little later this week, like May 9th, as opposed to in the past when maybe the firefighters have been trained in time for sort of early April. He says that there are actually some recruits still in school in Hinton right now. Can you confirm that? Like how many firefighters that could be out fighting fires right now are in training right now?
Jeremy, I can't confirm exact numbers of how many firefighters are in training currently, but I can tell you it's a staggered process, and it is the same every year in that we hire firefighters on an ongoing basis and train them on an ongoing basis. So there's no set time that all of our firefighters are on board and ready. It's ever evolving, and it happens in the springtime, and we ensure that people start getting trained up and ready to work early on. And certainly our legislated start of fire season is March 1st, and that's when we start getting our firefighters together, placed, trained, and ready to go.
Do you have a follow-up, Jeremy?
Yeah, and so I guess would you sort of dispute the notion that there is a shortage right now of local firefighters? Like he's even saying, like, especially within the last few years, there's been a number of cuts to firefighting programs and forestry management programs that has motivated some experienced folks to take their services and their skills to BC or other provinces rather than Alberta. I guess, do you see that? And do you consider that to be a shortage?
I would never speculate on any of the actions or budget actions that have been taken over the last few years. I can tell you that we do have a great many experienced firefighters who have been with us for many years, and they're passing their experience on to a lot of people who are keen to join Alberta Wildfire and help out their community, particularly when they see what's happening across the province. We get a lot of people coming forward who want to be part of the firefighting effort.
Thank you. I see no more questions in the queue. Any more from the floor? Okay, go ahead.
I just wanted to follow up again. What do you say to some of the rural residents who've been telling us they feel somewhat abandoned? I know you talked about prioritizing, but what do you say to those people who feel like they're not getting the help they need to douse those flames?
I guess the first thing I would like to say is I got a great sense of gratitude for them for following the evacuation orders. This is a very significant life event to be taken out of your home as a result of a wildfire. I would ask them to be patient. We are working on this collectively, and we do want to give everybody hope that we're going to be moving this in a direction where we can get people back into their homes as quickly as possible. But fundamentally, we do have to wait for the wildfires to get under control before we can start making those steps. So I would just reiterate, I ask for patience, and we'll work collectively with the municipalities to get the information to them.
And Christy, just to follow up, you had mentioned some showers south and central that help, but still no help in the north. Can you just elaborate that perhaps you didn't get any or enough moisture, if any, up there?
Yes, the conditions that we've seen over the last few days, which have made things very challenging for firefighters across the province, have been alleviated by some precipitation and humidity that we've seen in the south, but up north it's still very dry. We're still seeing winds, and we are expecting a continuation of those kind of conditions that can lead to extreme wildfire behavior.
Hi, Janet again from the CBC. I think my questions are for Christy. We just mentioned the north, the fire activity in the north, and the weather not being very cooperative. But in further south, and I guess more central Alberta, the sort of cooler weather and some precipitation, how much of a turning point would you say that is for the ability to control those fires?
Well, I can tell you when we see extreme wildfire behavior, like we have seen in the last few days, it can present challenges that would make it unsafe for firefighters to be in direct proximity with the flame. When we talk about prioritizing safety and human life, that includes our folks as well. So we have to be sure that firefighters are going to remain and be able to fight the fire as safely as possible. When we see that lifting in conditions, a little bit of humidity and coolness, it means that our firefighters can actually get a little closer to areas of the fire they had not been able to get into before, and that can be very big for us. That can be a great opportunity to be able to take action in an area that we can really want to focus on. So it's a great opportunity to make the most of a break in the weather to really get in there and dig away at areas that we want to focus on. We have a lot of resources at our fingertips. We have aircraft, helicopters, all sorts of tools to fight fire, but the thing that really puts out the flames is boots on the ground. So we're grateful to be able to get those firefighters in there. We're grateful to be bringing on more firefighters from across the country. It's early in the season for us, and it's early in the season for everybody. So we're happy to be able to get this cooperation from our colleagues across the country and ensure that we have all the resources we need who can tackle these fires while we have a break.
Just another follow-up question for you on the resources from other jurisdictions. You mentioned Montana and Northwest Territories. When you're saying you want hundreds of firefighters to come to Alberta, like how many hundreds? Can you quantify that for us? And what about equipment? Are you asking for additional equipment from any other jurisdiction, and what are you asking for?
I don't have an itemized list right now because those conversations are ongoing and they happen all the time. So I know our colleagues internationally are very eager and able to help out Alberta. Many of them come with their own equipment, which is much appreciated, and we know that they have the training and skills to be able to fight fire in this province. And we ourselves have helped them when they've had difficult situations. We've had firefighters go around the world when needed. That's how the firefighting community works. We all have difficult seasons at different times, and we're all there to support each other through these agreements in order to help each other out. And no one jurisdiction can predict exactly what kind of firefighting season they will have, and that's why we have these resources available to move around where they're most needed.
Okay, operator will go to the phones for one last question.
Peter Kennedy, Daily Herald. Sorry, thank you. Have any firefighters been injured?
Not to my knowledge. I'm very happy to say, as far as I know, no Albertans, including firefighters, have been severely injured in this firefighting effort.
Okay, do you have a follow-up question?
No, that's good, thank you.
Okay, and then just, I think, one more, and then that'll be it. Operator, go through the next caller, please.
Jeremy Thompson, TTV Edmonton.
Hi there. Just forgive me if I'm a little out of date on this one, but I just wondering if there's an update on the Strathcona County fires as well.
The Strathcona County fires, those are the ones that were affecting Entwistle and Evansburg? No?
Strathcona County.
Oh.
Yeah, that would be a mutual aid one. So,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
I'm sorry, I can look and see if I can dig up some details for you, and we'll send them over. I don't have anything.
Sure. Yeah, I think there had been, like I think a few hundred maybe, or about 100 people evacuated kind of just west of Edmonton, or just east of Edmonton, I believe. So yeah, just looking for an update there.
Yeah, so I don't have the numbers in front of me. I will verify those and get them out to you.
Well, thanks everyone. That concludes today's news conference.